Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Hey, and welcome everybody to another episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. How are we all doing today? And I'm gonna be very honest with you all. For me, well, not so much. Nothing bad happened to me personally. It's just that, well, let's be honest. It's not just me. It's something that we all went through, and it was a very, very tough week, especially with what has been happening in the news. Yes, I know it's kind of a bit of a dark note to go and begin, but unfortunately, this kind of thing is unavoidable. Oh, and thank you, Justin J. Monty, for the little subscription there. But yes, back to what I was talking about. Yes, well, as you guys probably know, in the news, it's just been very terrifying, especially with the reports of what is currently happening with Ukraine, with Russia setting out on a full-on invasion. And we're pretty much in a situation where we could be witnessing the brink of another world war that is being led by a modern day Hitler with Vladimir Putin. And yes, I know some people may say that nowadays comparing someone to Hitler is a bit of a gross exaggeration, but in this case here, with Vladimir Putin's career, with what he has done as the leader of Russia over the years, and especially with what he is doing right now with Ukraine, that is not an exaggeration. The comparisons to him and Hitler are very much justified. And as a result, well, it's just terrifying to see what is happening to the Ukrainians, and especially when we are at the point where, yes, now lives are being lost because of this whole situation. And this is not even to mention some of the other dictator-like attacks that are happening in other parts in the world, especially in the United States, where in Texas and in Florida, there are right now attacks towards children, specifically children of the LGBTQ plus community, because of the bills that are being signed by both Governor Greg Abbott and Governor Ron DeSantis. Rather it be the Don't Say Gay bill that is meant to censor and silence and just flat out attack the LGBTQ plus community in general, or even the bill in Texas signed by Greg Abbott, which is meant to attack trans youth, to consider that the existence of trans people, or especially amongst children, is considered child abuse. So as you could see, this really was a week that's just flat out horrifying, where these dictator-minded people are just attacking citizens and just attacking innocent people for just no good reason, just for being themselves, or just as an abuse of power. And that is why, to be very honest, lately I was pretty quiet on social media, like on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram and stuff like that. It was just hard for me to really press forward, or to just continue my life, or, trying to be my usual self online, knowing that these like terrible things are continuously happening, and like they could really be draining whenever you would see posts about these things. It's just not really fun. And it made me a bit scared, knowing if I would go and try to post like random funny memes or whatever distractions would there be, by that point it would just be a bit concerning, and it would honestly be a bit frightening, actually. Well, if I do so, it would just be of poor taste. That's what I mean. That if I would go and do so, that I would just post like funny memes and just random distractions from the issue. That, well, it would just be bad timing, because we are in a situation where lives are at stake because of like these dictators trying to really force their power upon other places, and especially among other people. which is why, as you could probably see if you're watching this either on Twitch or on YouTube in the future, then you may have seen right now where I have pretty much changed up my format a little bit. Well, not my format, but changed out the layout, where instead of the usual orange and blue decor, I used yellow and blue in solidarity with Ukraine. But speaking out about it sometimes is just not enough, and sometimes you want to go and take action. And even if you're not directly either in Europe or in the Ukraine, there are ways that you can help out. And one good example is actually with a donation. And one great example of a donation place to help out Ukrainians is actually one right here. This is from a website called globalgiving.org, and they are doing the Ukrainian Crisis Relief Fund, where you can go and donate and actually help out Ukrainians. In fact, just to read you here the quick summary about it, it states, Russia has invaded Ukraine in the biggest state-against-state attack since World War II. Millions of civilians are caught in the middle of an escalating military conflict and humanitarian crisis, and casualties are rising. Your donations to this fund will support Ukrainians in need, with a focus on the most vulnerable, including children. And as I'm recording this right now, they're demanding for nearly $3 million, but they are getting close to it since, as I'm recording this, as you can see, they have raised over $2 million so far. So if you want to go and show your support and actually go and help, like making posts and spreading awareness about this thing to help out the Ukrainians, that is nice. But what is also like a bit of an additional help would be to go and donate. So this is just something I would like to go and speak out about, just something to go and speak my mind, especially with this situation. And this is all pretty much to say that I stand with the Ukrainian people, and yes, I stand with the LGBTQ plus community and trans people that are under attack by dictator-minded governors. So this is just something I want to start off to get out of the way and to, raise awareness about the issue, and, and also mention the fact that there are ways that you can go and show your support. Okay, so with that said, now that I have that done, are you all ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, the actual parts of why we are all here? So, are we all ready? Let's see now. Yes. Oh crap, I just realized I don't even have my water. Well, I'll go and do a quick refill a little bit soon. But with all that said, let's go ahead and get things started. And with our first story that we have for you today, well, actually our first batch of stories, well, most of it is actually going to be consisting of trailers. And the first one that we have for you here is going to be a trailer for an upcoming animated feature that we have talked about. We have already seen a trailer, but this is going to be the second trailer of this, and what they have shown here is a little bit more different, and this is something that I've already seen, so I'm just going to quickly go and get water while the trailer is being presented here. So with that said, let's go ahead and check out the trailer, the second trailer for the upcoming DreamWorks Animation film, The Bad Guys.
On the outside, the five of you are villains, predators, remorseless sociopaths.
Oh, stop. You're making me blush.
We're the bad guys. And this is the crew. Mr. Snake, Serpentine, safe-cracking machine, imagine Houdini, but with no arms.
Jackpot. Yes.
Miss Tarantula, our in-house tech wizard.
Where'd you learn to do that? Mostly YouTube.
Mr. Piranha, he's brave, crazy. What's up, Papa? And Mr. Shark, master of disguise. His greatest trick, stealing the Mona Lisa disguised as the Mona Lisa. And rounding out the crew is me, the big bad wolf. We may be bad, but we're so good at it.
Arrest them!
We're out of here.
So long, suckers. Going nowhere.
Well, this just got a little weird.
No!
Wolf! If only we were given a chance to be anything more than criminals.
If you want to stay out of jail, you need to go good.
What are you doing?
We're gonna pretend to go good. The bad guys become the good guys so we can stay the bad guys. You know what I'm saying?
It's fantastic. Wolf, you're a genius.
Welcome to the first day of the rest of your best life.
Look, it's a cat stuck in a tree.
What does your heart tell you to do? A good person would
Smack it.
Skin it. Stab it.
Saute
and the
it.
soft is so obvious. I want you to save it.
Oh,
Right.
Here,
The good guy.
We're more than just scary villains. They love us.
You're such a good boy.
Maybe I don't want to be a...
What? A bad guy? No. 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 We'll always be bad guys.
Let's try something simpler. I'm going to give you a push pop.
Just for me.
No, to share.
This is gonna taste extra sweet.
Nope. Sucker. That's it. I teach you to share. Totally worth it.
Oh boy, yes, that was The Bad Guys, which is going to be coming soon on the big screen on April 22nd. And one thing that I must warn you right now, this could be very triggering for some people. Because as you've probably seen throughout the entire trailer, there is just an overabundance of the dreaded CalArt style. Yes, everybody has that CalArt style look, that CalArt style face, and especially the CalArt style bean mouth. Just everybody has that. So you can imagine on social media that those haters of the CalArt style, those believers of the CalArt style would just get so triggered and would attack this hard, just like how they're currently doing right now with Turning Red. Considering that the art style that we are seeing here is exactly like Turning Red, except this one really does double down. So you can imagine that there are some fans on social media, well, some animation fans on social media would get highly triggered over this, right? Oh wait, what's that? Nobody on social media, none of the CalArts haters ever talked about this? None of them actually got triggered? Huh, that's interesting. So you're saying that they're only targeting Turning Red? Intriguing. It's almost as if the CalArt haters are actually just a bunch of misogynistic and racist because they only hate Turning Red over the fact that it actually stars a teenage girl with teenage problems and it's directed by a woman of color. You know, that could actually be the case, especially when CalArts haters, prone to be anti-woke people, which is nothing but misogynistic and very racist people that would push a white nationalist agenda. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I'm only theorizing, of course. Nah, but in all seriousness, though, I gotta say, with what we have seen so far with The Bad Guys, I am freaking loving it. Oh my god, like already just by watching this trailer, it has already bumped this up for me to be one of my most anticipated animated films. It's just so much fun. Like, especially with what we have seen with the animation. Like, I've already talked about this a little bit before with the first trailer, where with the animation, like, okay, yeah, we can reject the CalArt style. We know that, like, anybody who unironically believes in that theory is, like, it's not worth listening to. But in this case over here, the animation basically is one massive tribute to anime. Like, basically, this is the most anime looking animated film that DreamWorks Animation has done, especially when it has that tone that is very similar to Lupin the Third, especially with the whole heist kind of situation, and even some of the characters, like even Mr. Wolf himself, can be viewed a little bit like being Lupin himself. So from there, the animation is just fantastic. But also, I gotta say, one thing that I actually do like about this trailer, more so than it does last time, is how they present the narrative. And in a way, this one kind of changes up a little bit of what the plot line is going to be, or at least like how they are showing what the plot line is. Because in the first trailer, they were pretty much showing how, like, it's more direct in terms of what the conflict is going to be, with the fact that Mr. Wolf wants to unironically be a good guy instead of a bad guy. But in this one, they're actually showing like how it's a slow process, that it starts out as a bit of a scheme to try to get themselves out of trouble so that they'll pretend to be good guys but remain to be bad guys. But then slowly but surely, one of them cracks and wants to unironically be a good guy. So like there is a little bit of that build up, a little bit of that setup that I already really do appreciate. Like it does make the plot line feel a little bit more interesting in that kind of format. So if the movie is going to be more like that than actually be in the first trailer, and then honestly I would be down. Like not to say like, oh, I don't like the plot line they presented in the first trailer and I like it more how it is here. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is that what we are seeing here with the bad guys in terms of the plot, it's starting to get more and more fascinating the more that it is revealing itself, and it's a lot of fun to see. And not to mention the fact that when it comes to the bad guys, when it comes to what we are seeing right over here, the thing that I do love the most about this trailer in particular, I feel like the jokes are better. I feel like, oh my God, the jokes here are actually hilarious. It's actually been a long time since I've just seen a trailer of the movie and I really laughed out loud out of the stuff that they have presented. Probably the last time that I've done so was the Turning Red trailer, or debatably, I would say maybe I laughed even more at that. Not to say the Turning Red trailer was inferior. I'm just saying that like with this one, oh my God, it's just great. It's like good joke after good joke after good joke. And they really do present a lot of great moments. Like one that I really do like are the ones with Mr. Shark. Like so far, they got some really good ones, like how they present Mr. Shark with this part over here, how he stole the Mona Lisa. Oops,
Of disguise. His greatest trick, stealing the Mona Lisa disguised as the Mona Lisa. And rounding.
And also there's the ending part. That one I do love with the push pop.
For me.
No, to share.
This is gonna taste extra sweet.
Nope. Sucker. Does it? I teach you to share.
Totally worth it.
Okay, that was great. It's like a great element of surprise and a lot of fun. Also, another one that I really do love is Saving the Cat from the Tree. That's also another one that is very anime-like, but it's also really, really good.
Stuck in a tree.
What does your heart tell you to do? A good person would
Smack it.
Skin it. Stab it.
in the
Saute.
soft, so obvious. I want you to save it.
Oh, right.
That I love. That is honestly a lot of fun. So already from what I'm seeing, like this could possibly be the best DreamWorks film in a long, long time, or at least the best original DreamWorks film since Captain Underpants, or maybe even better than Captain Underpants. So honestly, with what they have presented, the animation is very much on point. The storyline is very engaging and already has me very interested in what it's going to be and how it's going to turn out. And especially the humor is just better than ever. So already, I'm definitely on board with this and I'm very much excited. Like already, I'm pretty much as excited for this as much as I am for Lightyear, Turning Red, and Across the Spider-Verse. It's already up there. And I would probably add the Mario movie as well. Like that definitely has piqued my curiosity, but we still don't know how it's going to be. And I'm sure a lot of people are concerned and are scared, but we'll see how it goes. We'll ultimately wait and see. And as for the bad guys, well, if you guys are as anticipated as I am to go and watch it, then keep in mind that it is going to be coming out in theaters on April 22nd. And now with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall and I would like to ask you guys, what is your opinion? What is your take on the trailer that we have seen here for The Bad Guys, the second trailer for The Bad Guys? Are you guys even more excited to see this movie? Are you guys even more anticipated? Let me know, or are you guys a bit more indifferent about it? Well, let me know what you all think. Okay, let's see what we got here. This comedic turn of the bad guys trope kind of reminds me of a Telltale game back in 2015, The Wolf Among Us, not related to the space social game Calm Down Fellas. In short, the premise of The Wolf Among Us is that many classical fables are stuck in a fictitious New York City neighborhood, and as the big bad wolf, you try to uncover mysteries to a few cases that root deeply in the lore figures. And now DreamWorks is giving us that hilarious trope of retelling. I'm all in. I've honestly never played The Wolf Among Us, but if it works for you in that way, then it works for you. Let's see now. I legit took the time to read at least 2 books of the Bad Guys series over the month of February, and I gotta say, the style of the characters translate very well onto computer animation. And I also adore the comedy they provide, and seeing the characters trying to be good guys really did make me laugh. Also, regarding those CalArts haters, I'm sure they were hating on the Pixar more than DreamWorks because, well, Pixar is associated with Disney, and hating Disney is somehow cool to them. Yes, that is also another significant factor, is the fact that it's just piling on to the Disney hate. And you know how much anti-woke people have this severe hatred for Disney because they want to believe so much in the go woke, go broke narrative, but Disney is the company, Disney alone is the company that has proven that the narrative of go woke, go broke is just a flat out lie, which is why they have a grueling grudge against them. And why to this day we are seeing all these like idiotic kinds of attacks, including like the use of the CalArts style excuse. Let's see, what else do we have here? The title of this movie lied. This doesn't look bad at all. But all joking aside, the animation is still fantastic. Sam Rockwell is clearly giving it his all, since I completely buy him as a slick, cunning con man. And this is probably the hardest I've laughed at a trailer since probably Mitchell's. This will be a must-watch for me, but why do I get the feeling that the scene where the shark devours the snake, when shark devours snake, will spawn an uncomfortable amount of Rule 34? I mean, it's either that scene or with the fox. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to go in that direction. There are some things that I want to touch upon. Not that one. I'd rather talk more about the whole Ukraine crisis, more so than the possibility of seeing Vor Rule 34 art. I don't want to go in that direction, trust me. Oh, let's see now. I'm digging it. This looks funny, cute, and just energetic. First DreamWorks movie I've wanted to see since How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. As for the CalArts style, maybe I've been lucky to avoid seeing those posts, but screw the style over substance whiners. Story is king, and the animation should help the plot visually. Yeah, and that's also another aspect that I find to be so stupid about the people who complain about the CalArts style, is that at the end of the day, it very much is style over substance. Because the thing is, even if there is a movie or a TV show that does have the quote-unquote CalArts style, if it does, if that project ends up having a really good and engaging story and really likable characters that you want to see their adventures throughout the whole thing, then the art style really doesn't matter. As long as it tells a good story, then that's what's important. After all, animation is a storytelling medium at the end of the day. Let's see, what else do we have here? Holy cow, now I am excited to see The Bad Guys. The art style looks fantastic, and as inspired by Lupin III, and the story looks promising for the from the original children's book by Aaron Biaby. Is that it? Aaron Biaby? I probably said that wrong, but anyways, 2022 is going to be a great year for DreamWorks Animation and better than the last 2 years, just like Sony Animation did for the late 2018. But who knows? We will still have to wait and see for the trailer of the Puss in Boots sequel. Ah, yes, that's another one that I am very curious about. I actually really did enjoy the first Puss in Boots movie. I honestly find that to be one of DreamWorks' more underrated films. So honestly, I am curious to know about Puss in Boots 2. All right, I'm gonna read one more comment before we move on to the next story. You know what? You know what this trailer reminds me of? Guardians of the Galaxy. A group of criminals form a team to become heroes. Even the jokes are similar, but aside from that, I think this looks great. The animation is amazing, and the jokes are funny, especially the ones with the snake in the tree or the cat in the tree. So I can look past the comparisons to Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm excited for this movie, and I can't wait to see it. Honestly, you do bring up a very good point. This actually does have that feel of not just Guardians of the Galaxy, but also the Suicide Squad. I think overall, this movie, or at least with the trailers that we are seeing, really does have a bit of that James Gunn feel, where we see like a ragtag group of bad guys that are now becoming good, or at least try to be good to the best of their ability. So yeah, honestly, I do get what you mean. Like there are some strong similarities, but either way, so far this trope is going very well, especially when handled by James Gunn, and maybe it'll still continue well with the bad guys. So again, if you are excited to check this movie out, then keep in mind that it's going to be coming out on April 22nd. All right, so moving on to our next story that we got here. Well, you might remember last week when me and Joey Tedesco, we talked about Paramount Plus and how in the future, it seems like they could actually be a very strong competitor in which they got so much amazing content that's going to be coming soon. Also coming soon, they're going to have the entire collection of South Park and all that kind of stuff. Like they're going to be, like I said, a legitimate competitor in the streaming wars. Maybe not on the levels of Disney Plus and Netflix, but they could definitely go and compete against some of the, well, medium ones. I think it could have a chance to beat out stuff like HBO Max or Peacock or even Apple TV Plus. But I will say that this is only for the future. This is not going to be what's going to be happening like immediately, because so far we're still going to get a whole bunch of crap that might discourage us from actually getting Paramount Plus, which is actually the case with what we got here with the Fairly OddParents, Fairly Odder.
Cosmo, I wish we could show our new trailer. Coming right up, Wanda. Ain't she a beaut? Not that trailer. I knew that.
Dad, no, I have trouble meeting new people.
It's just my new wife, Rachel, and her son, Roy, who you've never met before.
Roy! New sister, let's go!
I want you to meet the two best things that's ever happened to me.
Ta-da!
What are those?
We're your fairy godparents!
What? Let's go? We can wish for whatever we want?
Guava juice, birthday cake, large fries, chocolate shake.
I wish my bedroom were better. Oh my God, this is amazing! I love it so much! What could possibly go wrong? I wish that my dad would stop ballroom dancing all the time. I wish that everything I touch turns to gold.
That's not gonna go well at all.
Oh my God! Move me.
Moving.
Booyah! I have fairy godparents now. I want the life I thought I was getting. I wish I were taller.
Got it.
Oh, not what I was hoping for.
One quick montage coming up.
Cosmo, Wanda, get back here.
Jurgen Von Strangle makes us tour all of his bathrooms every time. Sorry, kids, gotta poop. The new series, The Fairly OddParents, Fairly Odder. Stream with your family March 31st.
I wish I had solid gold pants. Yeah. These are amazeball.
Oof. Oof, man. Oof. So yes, what you just saw was indeed the Fairly OddParents, Fairly Odder, the reboot, the live-action reboot series to, or the live-action sequel series to the Fairly OddParents, which is going to be coming exclusively to Paramount Plus on March 31st, I believe. Yes, on March 31st. And one thing that I just need to start off by saying, say what you will about SpongeBob. Like, I understand that some people are saying that it's been going on for way too long. Nickelodeon should just, like, end the show, end its misery, because right now they are really milking it for what it's worth and just supplying way too much content. Like, there's just no more that you could really do with SpongeBob. I understand that argument, and to some degree, I do kind of agree that maybe SpongeBob should end so that Nickelodeon can move on to something else. But you do have to agree that there are times where, even in SpongeBob's later years, he can actually be pretty good. That there are ways that SpongeBob can actually surprise people where suddenly the episodes are actually quite enjoyable. They found new materials to have fun. The animation can be a lot more spontaneous and wacky. The characters can have, like, new directions that they could go, and, like, new ways that that the writers can actually play around with the characters, or that the animators can play around with the characters. There are times when, even though there are a lot of moments when SpongeBob can really go down, they can, like, the show can slightly go up as well. Like, there are some good highlights of SpongeBob in his later years, whether it be with the movies or the TV, or like with the TV shows, or even with the Broadway musical. Like, there are times, like, where SpongeBob can prove that maybe continuing the show can be a little bit worthwhile. With the Fairly OddParents, on the other hand, there's just one direction it went. It went down. Like, at its prime, during the 2000s decade, it was fun. It was enjoyable. Like, there was a reason why there were a lot of people that really did enjoy watching the Fairly OddParents. And even though I didn't watch it as much as SpongeBob, I did watch some episodes. And yeah, they could be funny. They could be great. They could be enjoyable. But then afterwards, like, you would see it just go down and down. There was never a moment where in the later years of Fairly OddParents where it actually went up. No, it just went continuously down, where they introduced the dog, they introduced the baby, and then they bring that little girl joining Timmy. And then, like, there's the live action movies with Drake Bell. It just gets getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And then, and it's always at the point where just when you think the Fairly OddParents couldn't sink even lower, they always just find a new way just to go and make things worse. And that's exactly what we are seeing here with the Fairly OddParents Fairly Odder, which is not necessarily the same kind of live action lore as what we had before with the Drake Bell movies. Like, this one is completely separate from what we had before. And with this new direction that they're going, you know what this is? This really feels like it's not a Nickelodeon live action sitcom. It feels like a ripoff of a Nickelodeon sitcom. Like, it wants to be a Nickelodeon's It wants to be a Nickelodeon sitcom in the veins of something like iCarly, but give it a bit of a Fairly OddParents twist, but it just does not work. It's just the framing of it all. It really looks, well, in lack of a better term, there's so much about it just looks cheap. That's really the big sense that I'm getting. I mean, I'm sure, like, you know, this is a very elaborate production, but there's just something about it that, you know, it's just Nickelodeon really not giving it their all for this show in particular, and just really not holding it back, but really restraining it. I don't know if it would be a budgetary issue or they just really rushed this kind of production, but there's just something about it that it really does not work, especially from what we are seeing with this trailer in particular. And it's just, even the things that are connected, especially the things that are connected to the Fairly OddParents, it just, like, it feels weird. It feels uncomfortable. And, like, one example, like Timmy Turner. Okay, I just need to comment about Timmy over here. Like, what the fridge is this? What is this? Like, why did they turn Timmy Turner into a young Joey from Friends? Like, I know it's not the guy playing who is Joey from Friends, but that's kind of the face, kind of like just all of this in general. It looks like some dude really trying to be Joey from Friends, except there's something that's just unappealing. It's just, it looks like, I don't know about it. It's like mixing Joey from Friends with a donkey. That's what it kind of looks like. And I mean, no disrespect to the actor playing him, but it's just, I don't know what they have done here, but they messed up Timmy hard here. It's just, yeah, this ain't something that, I don't know. This is certainly not the Timmy Turner that we recall from the animated series. This ain't you couldn't imagine this guy with the voice of Tara Strong. Like, you don't imagine, I wish kind of, character. No, this looks like the face, this looks like the kind of guy that you would expect with the voice of Joey Wheeler from Family Guy. Like, I don't know, this looks like Joey Wheeler somehow dressed up in pink, like, hey, you want to see my fairy godparents? Yeah, that's how I've been winning duels recently, I got my fairy godparents right over here. Oh, God. So already there's just something completely wrong. But technically, it is true that Timmy is not going to be the main character of this. It's not going to be Timmy's show. Apparently, it's going to be his cousins, which is apparently Viv and her new stepbrother. Apparently, it's going to be like with those guys. Yeah, it's going to be with them, especially like the kid with the crutches. Apparently, somehow with trying to do the modern lingo thing, especially at the end saying did I don't know, maybe it's just me. Did he say amazeballs at one point?
Solid gold bits.
Already, even that alone is what the fridge are you doing, kid?
These are amazeball.
Yep, amazeball. He said it. There we go. It's it's just he definitely is one of those kids that's trying to be trendy, trying to be cool and hip with the young crowd, trying to be trying to be in it with the modern lingo, with the memes and stuff like that. But it's just I look at this kid and I'm thinking to myself, who talks like that? What kind of kid, what kind of actual kid legit talks like that and unironically goes around saying amazeballs or isn't there another one happening
Bedroom or better.
Yeah, and here's another one, going all Bubsy, what could possibly go wrong? This show in particular can really go wrong. But the one thing I gotta say is probably the worst thing about it, the biggest turnoff for me, what I find to just be pretty cringe and it just looks awful. It's funny enough, the animation, it's the involvement of also we need to, there's just so many, what the fridge is this? There's just too many things where every frame raises so many questions. How a picture is worth 1,000 words? Yeah, this is a moment where every frame is worth 1,000 questions. And a lot of these they all boil down to, do I really want to know? But it really is, in terms of the animation, for me, is just a massive turnoff. Look at this.
Cosmo, Wanda, get back here!
Jurgen von Strangle makes us tour all of his bathrooms every time. Sorry, kids, gotta poop.
It's honestly, this is my biggest problem. Okay, now this is not to criticize the art style of the Fairly OddParents. It's unique. It's unique. It's abstract, but it's also very fun, and it actually fits well with the series itself, and really does its job to give the series its own identity. It's pretty nice looking. It's great to see, and it is very unique, and it does have its own charm. But with the use that it tries to do over here, it makes no sense. It really doesn't, especially with the fact that the art style that it has is full on the opposite of live action. It's just a lot of these things don't match at all. Like, the characters are meant to be like full on flat, and like you're putting them in this live action environment. Like, this is beyond out of place. Like, the only way that you can make it work is try to describe that they are indeed cartoons. It's like, you're trying to say, oh, but these are fairies, these are magical. But still, though, it doesn't really work when you're trying to make things magical, and it feels completely the opposite of how it feels when you put it in a modern, realistic kind of environment, especially in a 3D environment. Now, I'm going to say something that is very controversial. This could probably be the hottest take of this episode. And feel free, everyone, to say that I may be stupid for saying this, that this is just a terrible idea. But I want to ask, not just for this, but also for the live action Fairly OddParents movies with Drake Bell, why can't they make Cosmo and Wanda live action? Like, why can't we actually have a live action Cosmo and Wanda, and whenever they need to do their magic, they could be like the aunts from Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and, you know, like, their magic will be a little bit more subtle, but, you know, it could actually work out. Like, at least Cosmo and Wanda would feel like they do legitimately fit in their environment. And I feel like that would probably be the best way to do some kind of live action Fairly OddParents, if you would do a live action Fairly OddParents, is to try to go with the Sabrina the Teenage Witch kind of approach, where you would actually have even the fairy characters be more live action, fit a lot more with the environment that does surround them. And even if you want to go and have them transform into like fish, or you want them to turn into objects and stuff like that, you know, you could just plot, you know, you could take the actor's face and just put it onto the object. I know it would sound weird, but at least it would fit with the tone of Fairly OddParents in general. I get it. I know that maybe it just sounds like a really cringy idea to also make Cosmo and Wanda live action, but they would feel more in place in their live action environment, more so than what we got here. It would work out a lot more than freaking this, especially when you try to do like especially when you want to try to do effects. Like, yeah, let's go back to Joey Wheeler, Timmy Turner here.
Your fairy godparents!
What? Let's go?
Yeah, like even with the poof, even like with the magical poof and stuff like that, like, look at this. I don't know, it just doesn't work. There's just nothing about it that feels like, oh yeah, this totally makes sense. This totally would work. You know, this feels like you're immersed in the world of the Fairly OddParents. I totally feel like I'm in Dimsdale when watching this. It just, it doesn't make sense. Not to mention the fact that, like, you know, like when you look back in the past, apparently like when you do go in the past, yeah, like it's apparently a part of the animated world. Like, it makes no sense. Like, why do we have the Tad and Chad poster over here, but like they're fully animated? Shouldn't you have like a photo of like a real, like a live action Tad and Chad, like, for this poster? Like, why are they cartoons? Like, when they were young, we're like, when Timmy was young, was he a cartoon? It doesn't make sense. And I feel like there's just so much about it that just, it feels like something that's just going downhill. Now, one thing that is also worth commenting, by the way, is the fact that this is indeed one of those shows where the original creator is actually on board with the production, which I think in this case here, the original creator of Fairly OddParents is actually a creative consultant, more so than like a showrunner or an executive producer or anything like that. It's just there for creative consultant purposes, which normally, in certain circumstances, that would be reassuring. That would actually feel like, okay, so maybe this show could actually go in a right direction because the original creator is actually involved. No, not in this case. Not when the original creator is Butch Hardman. And especially, like, you can feel like with Butch Hardman's involvement, it's like, yeah, you could honestly tell, because that dude has certainly lost his touch. He certainly wasn't the same Butch Hardman like how he was back in the 2000s or in the early 2010s. And now that we got like the new Butch Hardman with the poor reputation that he has now, just seeing this, yeah, he's not really doing any favors for this show. So overall, I just gotta say, like, there's a lot of people right now who is giving this a lot of backlash, and I get it. It's just, this is not the way to go in terms of like making a live action series. Just nothing about this works. The jokes feel absolutely awkward. The Timmy Turner that we got here, he still freaking freaks me out with it, with the combining mesh of Timmy and Joey Wheeler. The animation especially feels so out of place. There's just so much about it that really does not work. It's just nothing works. And this is just the trailer. I mean, there could be that rare chance that maybe the show itself could actually be pretty good. I know that there is that chance, but from what we're seeing in that trailer, those chances are just extremely slim. So overall, I don't know. There's just nothing that really works for me. I know for a fact that I ain't gonna be watching this, and this certainly won't be making me encouraged to go and get Paramount Plus. That is for sure. So, if there's anyone out there who is actually interested in checking this out, if you have this curiosity that makes you want to see how Fairly Odder could be, then keep in mind that it's going to be coming out exclusively on Paramount Plus on March 31st. So with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, how do you feel about the Fairly OddParents Fairly Odder? Did you guys actually enjoy this? Do you disagree with me and think that there is some potential? Or do you guys just not want to you don't want to have any relations with it? Like, you want nothing to do with this thing and you want to avoid it at all costs. And especially if you are a fan of the Fairly OddParents, I would like to know your opinion on this. Let's see what we got here. Holy crap, this looked really bad. I wasn't personally a fan of the show despite seeing some older episodes, but wow, this looked bad. All it's missing is a laugh track, then boom, you made the show 100% cringing. Oh my god, that is true. I'm surprised with the kind of show that they have. This totally would be the kind that like they would try to include a laugh track just to force out a laugh from the audience. You know, try to do that Big Bang Theory type of engagement where like you need that laugh track in order to emphasize that what he said was funny, because if they didn't have that, well, you wouldn't know if it was actually a gag. Anyways, also, why does this live action Timmy Turner make Drake Bell from before look good in comparison? There is so much wrong with this show, and all I can say is to Nickelodeon and Butch Hartman as Dinkleberg there was so much wrong with this, and all I could say to Nickelodeon and Butch Hartman as Dinkleberg and say Dinkleberg. Yeah, honestly, I don't know, but are you sure? Like, are you sure you're not a fan of this Timmy Turner, of this looking face, you know, this Timmy Turner who's ready to summon his red eyes black dragon? Are you sure you don't like this? What's wrong with a face like that, you know? Oh boy. Anyways, the best way to summarize this is what I said about Camp Coral. Jesus Christ, this is complete shite. Not only did they have the nerve to bring back the Fairly OddParents, but they brought it back as another terrible Nickelodeon sitcom like Henry Danger, Game Shakers, Thundermans, etc. The animation looks like a YouTube parody, and the acting is terrible, especially Roy. The trying to be trendy kid, and my god, I already hated Roy the first second I saw him. I'm not watching this. Exactly, and honestly, I completely forgot about this, but you know what the animation here reminds me of? Like, you know the kind of animation that it's showing us here? Like, the thing is that with the animation, it's really dragging this show down, and what it does is that it doesn't make this look like a full-on series that is meant for this major streaming platform. It looks like the kind of animation that you would expect out of a nostalgia critic wannabe. Like, you know, those small YouTubers that try to do their own low budget attempt of a nostalgia critic episode, and sometimes like they try to force in their own random narrative onto it. Like, this is exactly what it feels like. Honestly, like, even with this guy, he looks like he's trying to be some kind of nostalgia critic clone, trying to make his own identity, and like he added his own effects with Cosmo and Wanda. Like, even with his face, like, it really does look like he's about to review some kind of cartoon that he really hates. Like, he's just looking beside him like, Cosmo and Wanda, what are you two doing here? Oh, well, I guess you'll be stuck with me for the rest of this review. So how about you join me and we'll talk about Planet Sheen and how much that cartoon sucks. Like, that's honestly the feeling that I get with this animation in particular. But no, it's not for a nostalgia critic wannabe. It's actually made for a big name streaming service made by a big name studio that is based on a big name franchise, and yet they come out with something like this. Jeez, man, this is embarrassingly bad, man. It's like, how can you even let this show be in this level of quality? Like, are you sure you don't need revisions? Like, did you rush the production onto this? Like, I want to know the explanation. Like, what is it that went wrong? Let's see. Cosmo and Wanda, I wish this reboot doesn't exist. The reboot is not only cheap, but it looks unoriginal. You can easily remove the fairies with other creatures and it wouldn't make any difference. This reboot proves that Fairly OddParents is at the bottom of the barrel. It doesn't age well because of Butch Hartman being a con artist. The only one I could blame on this reboot is on Dinkelberg. Dinkelberg. All right. Anyways. Wow, oh my god, I see like so many people are now commenting, like a lot of people are just commenting like Dinkelberg. Like, oh my god, you should check the chat wall, because seriously, there's a whole bunch that I'm noticing. It's like everybody is ending with Dinkelberg. Anyways, let me just read another one here. I'll read two more before we move on to the next story. I asked my Nickelodeon loving friend what he thinks about the trailer, and he's pretty excited for it. And while he's all good with it, I am not. The blend of animation and live action is really weak. The new Timmy Turner looks like he's about to stab me. Oh my god. I never thought like that kind of comment. Like, yeah, this is the guy like, yeah, you gotta keep these fairy godparents or else you gotta get a shanking. I'll make you wanna have your first wish? Here, for your first wish, here. Try to heal that wound that you got there quickly before you die from it. Anyways, and the jokes are absolutely horrible. The fact that it drops literally a day after Moon Knight says it all. But I think we all know the one person who should be blamed for this. Gary! Wait, I mean Dinkelberg. All right, I'll read one more comment, and yes, this one does have Dinkelberg as well. After watching this trailer, I was like, do we really need this? I feel like Nickelodeon was too desperate to let go of Fairly OddParents. I did enjoy the Fairly OddParents as a kid, but after what Butch Hartman did and the jokes of the show were flat, that's where I have my doubts. Also, Cosmo's voice sounds pretty weird, and Timmy's design looks eye-barfing, so I'll give this show a pass. This looks and sounds like the works and curses of Dinkelberg. So yeah, there might be some people who could unironically be excited for it, so okay, good for them. But at least for me and what looks like many other people, yeah, this doesn't look like a show that's really worth getting into. So just to say right now, if you guys are morbidly curious about the Fairly OddParents Fairly Odder, then once again, it's going to be coming soon exclusively on Paramount Plus on March 31st. All right, so we have one more trailer that we're going to go and check out. And with this trailer that we have over here, we're going to be looking back at a really weird trend that happened last year. Now, this is not necessarily animation related, but it is something that is pretty interesting to watch. Do you guys recall what happened last year with the whole GameStop scenario? Like, you guys remember when, like, everybody was suddenly talking about stocks because a bunch of Redditors managed to get together and rose the stocks of GameStop to, like, crazy amounts. And then, like, what happened afterwards was just full-on chaos. Like, I know, it's a story that seems pretty complicated to understand. It seems pretty weird. Like, even, like, I remember back then, like, it was kind of a weird scenario that was happening. Like, even I didn't really understand all that much. So, there is, however, going to be a movie that is going to be released. Actually, this is going to be a 2-part documentary that, I'll admit, looks pretty fascinating. It did get me curious. So with that said, let's now go ahead and watch the final trailer of this episode of the podcast as we are taking a look at Gaming Wall Street.
GameStop.
Remember when you couldn't stop hearing about GameStop? Well, thanks to a bunch of nerds on Reddit, its stock price raised to heights no one could have ever imagined.
Because of all these hedge funds shorting the stock, GameStop started off as a undervalued play. So a lot of people are buying into it, not even worried if they lose all their money. It's more about a middle finger to the hedge funds.
There's this opportunity here to bet against what all the hedge funds did.
Finally, the underdogs had the upper hand.
This really is taking the world by storm.
Oh my God, it's making money.
Let's get these hedge fund monsters before they get us.
And that scared the shit out of some really rich people.
And then the Robin Hood thing happened.
They cut us off from trading because they wanted us to sell what we had.
What Robin Hood did, that took the wind out of the sails.
I've never seen a group of stocks that you can no longer add to.
There is a lot of emotion here. All of this rage.
Definitely the worst point in my life.
What can we do to give a voice to it?
The GameStop frenzy ripped the curtain of how rigged our markets really are.
They forced the broader public to start asking questions that they've never really asked before.
And it's not just one firm, 2 firms, 3 firms. It's all the firms that commit capital.
And that cracked open a whole investigation.
Wall Street has been making money out of thin air.
So that's basically stealing, right?
The level of illegal activity is just astonishing.
The market does get manipulated in a lot of ways that we don't see.
But how do you play a game when someone else makes the rules?
Someone can cheat, and you'll never know.
It's intentionally hidden from you that you can't see where the problems really lie.
This is our one chance to blow up the Death Star.
I don't even care who the whistleblower is.
That's why it's important that people come forward.
This is just the beginning.
So that is Gaming Wall Street, which is actually going to be coming very soon on HBO Max on March 3rd. So, yes, just to go and quickly summarize the whole situation, this is actually a documentary that does reflect upon the whole controversy regarding the GameStop stocks, in which a bunch of Redditors decided to get together, buy a bunch of GameStop stocks, make its value go significantly high, like skyrocket like crazy, and then Wall Street came in, and that's when the chaos really did ensue. And I gotta say, in terms of this trailer, this really did grab my attention. And I think this really did a great job in selling what this entire documentary is all about. Because it pretty much starts out small, starts out with something that we're all familiar with, like with a little event that happened. And then it just really grows and grows to reflect upon a much bigger situation. And even if you don't necessarily understand economics or understand stocks or the Wall Street business or anything like that, at least from what they are showing in this trailer, like even if you don't comprehend any of it, it's showing you like a good idea of what this essentially means, where even a commoner could understand that what's happening should not even be happening in the first place. Where it starts out with the whole GameStop thing, Like, we are all familiar with last year's GameStop event where suddenly the stocks significantly rise and it has everybody talking about stocks. Like, even people who normally don't talk about stocks in general, they would go and discuss about it in here. But then suddenly afterwards, you got Wall Street coming in and you got actual business, you got hedge funds coming in where they try to go and regain control of the matter. And that's when we saw the whole Robinhood controversy where they took the GameStop stocks away so that people would stop buying it and would stop selling it and stuff like that. Like, they stop using GameStop in their game. And then it pretty much balloons into this major controversy where it reflects upon how Wall Street would run its business and how the whole game of stocks and stuff like that is very much corrupted, and it is very much rigged as well, where it pretty much opened the floodgates to what really is wrong. And now the public can actually peek behind the curtains of what's actually going on and how it is truthfully messed up. And yeah, like, you know, like, even for me, I still have a lot that I want to learn about stocks and try to understand the whole business of it, or even what the whole appeal of the matter of what stocks are. Like, I want to try to learn, and I want to try to comprehend to know, like, what it is even all about in the first place, so that I could fully have like this good knowledge to know the whole situation and like to truly understand how bad it is. But again, the way that they are framing it on this trailer in particular, it actually does a pretty solid job. It actually does pretty well to say that, yeah, what's going on, it's not good. And it's pretty messed up by this point. And yeah, like, this is a scenario where, like, in a way, it is kind of an underdog story because, again, like, these aren't like Wall Street brokers or anything like that. These are just a bunch of Redditors who found a way to, like, have the upper hand in Wall Street's game. Like, they know how to play the stocks game, and now they managed to get the upper hand with stuff like GameStop, or even a little bit of AMC last year as well. Kind of went through a bit of a similar thing. But then you got like, suddenly apps like Robinhood came in, and then Wall Street decided to go and, like, close them off. Like, they want to, again, regain control of the stocks game and stop these Redditors, which did open up the floodgates to this massive controversy of how Wall Street is pretty much inventing money. They were creating money out of thin air, and that it really is a scenario where Wall Street really cannot be trusted after what happened with the whole scenario with GameStop, with the whole scene. So for me, honestly, like, as someone who is often interested in seeing the business side of, like, pretty beloved stuff, like, you guys know me, I'm an animation historian, and often I love to get into like the business aspect of studios and animation and stuff like that. And even with this, honestly, this does interest me, where I do want to learn more about the situation. And again, this trailer actually does a pretty good job in framing the whole situation to show that, yeah, it's a lot worse than you may think. So overall, I will say with Gaming Wall Street, it's an interesting trailer. It is actually intriguing, and I might be curious to go and check this one out. So if you guys are interested in checking out Gaming Wall Street, then keep in mind that the documentary will be released on HBO Max on March 3rd. All right, so with that said, I would like to once again go into the chat wall, and I want to ask you all, how do you feel about Gaming Wall Street? Did you guys actually enjoy the trailer? Did you think it was pretty good? Did it actually get you interested in knowing more about it? Or do you still feel absolutely confused about the whole GameStop scenario? Let me know what you all think. All right, let's see. While I'm a gamer and not a stock person, some of my relatives are. and hold on, and maybe we'll probably have a good time with it. Maybe it'll help me be cautious in case other companies are suffering similar situations. To the end of a joke, since Robin Hood is mentioned, we all know Prince John was a phony king of England. Does this make GameStop the phony king of game shops? No, not really. I mean, I don't think it really is about GameStop, the company. It's just about GameStop, the stocks. Like, those are like two completely different entities. But I mean, like if you want to talk about the business of GameStop itself, that's like a whole other story, and that's like a completely separate mess in its own right. So just to warn you there. I'm usually not someone who watches documentaries, but I am rather curious about this. As someone who is into gaming and has a stepfather who's rather into stocks, this whole story about the GameStop stocks is rather fascinating, and I am quite enjoying the visuals that are shown. I'll probably check it out when I can. All right, that's nice. This looks interesting, actually, and if I had HBO Max, I would probably watch this, as they seem to have pretty good track with their documentaries after Sing Street and the Harry Potter reunion special, which were both great. If only Street Gang managed to get nominated for an Oscar. What? I'm not salty. In all seriousness, though, this looks really interesting, and as I said before, I would definitely watch this if I had HBO Max. All right, sounds good. Any other comments? This documentary got my attention. Wall Street trying to make GameStop a high price by making something called stocks is a big deal and a big situation. I'm not really a stock person, but I do enjoy and love video games. I'd say that. Oh wait. I see another it's like another person comparing like Prince John and stuff. I'd say the Wall Street is Prince John and we need Robin Hood to save us from the stocks. I have a GameStop where I live and I got a lot of games from there. And speaking of games, how many of you are getting into Elden Ring? I'm still playing on Pokemon Legends, so I'll just stick to that for now. In fact, I'm probably going to stick to that until Kirby and the Forbidden Land gets released. Anyways, a GameStop documentary coming out real soon on HBO Max. Okay, I wasn't aware of this news until now, and after watching this trailer, it looks interesting, and I'll have to find a way to find myself some free time in checking out this documentary, so I'll keep an eye out. All right, so I'll read one more comment before we move on. Let's see. To say much, this is honestly starting to be intriguing. The more it keeps explaining it, the more interesting it gets. I might actually give it a watch, even though I'm not too much of a gamer. This is actually interesting as the recent Ren and Stimpy documentary I saw on Pluto TV, which coincidentally I don't like either. Literally, John K is nuts. Yeah, I know, but like, this is not necessarily a whole gaming thing. I think this is more of a stocks thing, but considering how it got a lot of people's attention, I think this is honestly a good way to understand more about stocks, or hopefully this could be a good way to understand about economics, Wall Street, and stocks and stuff like that. But again, if you are interested in checking this out, then keep in mind that this is going to be coming out on HBO Max on March 3rd. Which, by the way, is March 3rd a Friday? I just want to double check. Oh, no, it's a Thursday. Oh, dang. Okay. Well, but anyways, let's go and move on to our next story, which we don't have any trailers anymore, but we're actually going to go into a story. And before I do get into this, I just want to go and highlight a previous story that I have talked about a few weeks ago regarding Scrat. Now, you may recall last time when I talked about Scrat from Ice Age, there was the news that came out that a lot of people were just freaking out about the fact that somehow Disney did not own the rights to Scrat. That apparently the rights belong to a woman by the name of Ivy Silberstein, if my memory serves correctly. And from there, that's pretty much why a lot of people did assume why Scrat did not actually appear in the latest Ice Age movie, The Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild. And that it was pretty surprising to hear that Scrat was not owned by Disney, especially when Disney is very notorious and very protective when it comes to copyright stuff like that. Well, apparently it seems like there may not be some truth to it. And I'll say right now that if the case be that I was wrong about this story, well, then I do apologize for spreading misinformation. Like, I'll confess that maybe I was wrong about that whole thing. So, why do I say this now? Well, that is because apparently on Disney Plus, there's going to be new Ice Age cartoons. Yes, specifically, coming soon on Disney Plus in April, there's going to be a set of 6 cartoons called Ice Age Scrat Tales, which indeed will actually star Scrat along with his new son, which we're just going to call Baby Scrat, or that's actually what is officially called. It's going to be Scrat and Baby Scrat. And to read you about what Ice Age Scrat Tales is all about, reading directly from my source on Animation Magazine, it states, Disney Plus has released the key art for Ice Age Scrat Tales, a series of 6 all-new animated shorts starring Scrat, the franchise's hapless saber-toothed squirrel, who experiences the ups and downs of fatherhood as he and the adorable, mischievous Baby Scrat alternately bond with each other and battle for ownership of the highly treasured acorn. And on top of that, they even mentioned the 6 cartoons that are going to be coming out. They are Nuts About You, Lo-Fi Scrat Beats to Sleep / Chill To, X's and Uh-Ohs, Nutty Reflections, Teeter Toddler, and Nut the End. And on top of that, probably the most interesting aspect about all this is the fact that this is indeed going to be Blue Sky Studios' swan song. Yes, believe it or not, this was actually developed by Blue Sky Studios just before they were just before they shut down. In fact, they even got Chris Wedge back. Yes, the director of the first Ice Age and the co-founder of Blue Sky Studios. He has returned to voice Scrat, as well as bringing on board Kerry Walgren to voice Baby Scrat. And all this is actually going to be coming out on April 13th. Now, the first thing that I do want to talk about and to clarify is regarding the whole Scrat scenario and what the fridge is going on with the rights, because it does seem a bit confusing, the fact that Disney would go and release this after we heard news that apparently Scrat does not belong to Disney, but instead it belongs to Ivy Silverstein. I honestly, like, there's a lot of people, like, they kind of flipped out, and some people think that, oh, Disney is breaking copyright laws, they shouldn't be doing this, Ivy Silverstein should go and sue, and all that stuff. Like, a lot of people seem to be upset, but for me, I feel like by this point, there's just something that doesn't seem 100% right with that story in particular. I feel like there's just something about it that feels off. Now, I know technically I wasn't the only one who reported on this story. There were plenty of other websites and other YouTube videos as well that actually did talk about it and did mention the fact that technically Disney did not own the rights to Scrat. But I kind of feel like in this situation, there is something a bit off because, number one, we haven't seen any of the official like the big name movie news websites that would go and talk about this. Like, you'd think this would be the kind of story that would be mentioned in something like The Hollywood Reporter or Deadline or Variety or anything like that. You'd think that they would go and talk about this, but that doesn't really seem to be the case. None of those actually did go and officially report. It's just some of the smaller websites that did go and mention it, and that's pretty much it. But not only that, but this is also the factor of copyright laws. And let's face it, neither me or any of you that are watching this, I don't know if you would consider yourself a law expert. Unless you actually do have a full-on law degree and you actually do work as a lawyer and you do specialize in copyright law, like, I don't think this is something that, like, we have all the knowledge to go and fully express and to fully talk about in the situation. We all like the thing is, as the viewer, as the consumer, the most that we can do is just look at what is happening on the surface. And in this case here, I feel like there's just a lot of details that are missing. And honestly, this is a case that, for me, I feel like this is something that Disney themselves should go and answer. I feel like there should be a legitimate investigation to happen where, like, a big publisher, like someone from Variety, who can actually have access to go and contact Disney representatives or to go and contact people like Ivy Silverstein to fully know what is going on with this matter. Does Disney actually own the rights to Scrat? At this point, I really do question it. Maybe yes, maybe no, but honestly, I just feel confused about that whole matter. And I don't know. I feel like we just have to wait and see with what the case may be. Maybe in the future we will have some answers to go and clarify the whole situation. Maybe someone from Disney can go and respond to the scenario and answer us if they actually do own Scrat or not. But for now, it's like, I don't know, there's just something wrong. Again, if the case would be that Disney does own the rights, then I will own up to the fact that I was wrong for spreading that kind of misinformation regarding Scrat, and I do apologize for it. But for now, I just feel like this is a scenario where we don't necessarily have all the answers to, and I just feel like it's just kind of weird, especially when technically we are talking about one of the most popular computer animated characters of all time. I mean, like, we are talking about a very iconic cartoon character that wasn't just the mascot of a whole franchise, but the mascot of an entire studio. So I don't know. I just hope that we know what is going on, or I don't know, maybe I could go and do a whole video about it, and I could answer the questions for you. I don't know. I would, but then again, I don't know if Disney would have the time to go and respond to me about, like, hey, Disney, do you own the rights to Scrat? What the fridge is going on with this whole thing? I don't know if I could go and do that. All right, but anyways, in all seriousness, going back into this right over here with Ice Age Scrat Tales. Now, I understand that there might be some people who would be completely turned off by this, and they would be even more upset of Disney keep filing the grave of Blue Sky Studios and continue to try to cash in on the success of Ice Age, and especially after the Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild. I do get why it would leave a bad taste on people's mouths on the fact that we would have something like this. But I'm not gonna lie, folks, I look at this and I feel like, honestly, I would be down for this. I think maybe I could actually go and check this out. I think this could have the potential to actually be fun. Now, if the case be that this is just about Scrat, if like the only characters that we see is just Scrat and Baby Scrat, and none of the other characters come in, like Crash and Eddie, or Buck Wild, or Sid, Manny, and Diego, if it's just those two, then I think we could have something. I think, honestly, it could legitimately work out. I always believed that Scrat could actually work very well as just his own cartoon. And especially the fact that now, like, that idea is finally coming to life, where we are legitimately getting just these Scrat cartoons, then I think it could actually have potential. And especially the fact that it is kind of a nice touch that this is actually going to be brought to us not from like some third-party studio or anything like that. This is actually going to be brought to us by Blue Sky Studios. This is the last thing that the animators have worked on before they left for their jobs. And in that regard, honestly, that kind of makes me feel a bit more optimistic, because if there's one thing I've always liked from Blue Sky Studios, it's their animation. So if the honestly, it makes me more confident that they could totally sell they could totally sell on the animation for this, and it could actually look gorgeous. In fact, even the pictures that we do see here, they actually do look pretty nice. Like they look extremely well rendered. Like the expressions on Scrat and Baby Scrat, they look great. And even the poster, it actually does look fun, where like they have a bit of this Lion King parody here. Like I know it's pretty cliched, but still, like this version actually does look cute. It actually does look pretty fun. So honestly, like, I know it sounds weird, but after all the Ice Age crap that we have gotten, this is like the first time in probably over a decade, or oh, sorry, I think spit just went down the wrong hole. But anyways, looking at this here, I think this might actually have some potential. And if they keep it simple, if they keep it just Scrat, then I think honestly the final project from Blue Sky could actually be a good one. And honestly, that would actually be lovely. Like that would be, you know, that would be a really nice finish to Blue Sky Studios. Imagine like the last thing that they have ever done is an Ice Age project, and not just an Ice Age project, but an Ice Age project that was actually good, that was actually enjoyable, that made us like what they're doing again. That would be like a very fitting finale for Blue Sky Studios. And honestly, if that's the case, I would definitely be on board with it. And especially the fact that, like, we're getting a bunch of cartoons that's going to be on Disney Plus. And when Disney would do that, honestly, they would be pretty fun. I remember last year when they brought out Doug Days. Like, those were great. They were very nice. They were very wholesome. And they serve as, like, a great finale with the performance of Ed Asner, especially as Carl Fredricksen. Like that, it was very touching. And honestly, I feel that they are very much worthwhile. They are definitely worth watching. So if Scrat Tales can be on the level of what we had with Doug Days, then I think we're going to be in for a good time. So if you guys are interested in checking out Ice Age Scrat Tales, then keep in mind that it's going to be coming out on Disney Plus on April 13th. And with that said, I will go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, how do you feel about Ice Age Scrat Tales? Are you guys optimistic about this? Are you excited to see what this is all about? Are you guys a little bit more cautious because it is an Ice Age project? Let me know what you all think. All right, let's see what we got here. I'm gonna paraphrase Syndrome here by saying, Scrat got a series of shorts, whoa, and got busy. It's a whole family of Scrats. Oh, we just hit the jackpot. But in all seriousness, after how god-awful Adventures of Buck Wild was, this was an absolute breath of fresh air, seeing as we can finally get back to actual good animation and hopefully funny jokes. So I'll gladly check this out. Also, I guess this explains why he wasn't in Buck Wild. He ditched the movie to get some puss. Yeah, that's honestly the weird thing about all this. It's like, yeah, it's the fact that Scrat has a son. Now, like, keep in mind that the cartoon is not officially released, but then again, like, honestly, think about it, it's like, oh god, he did have sex with that other squirrel. Because keep in mind, like, look at the color palette of Baby Scrat. It's very much similar to the girl Scrat. Like, oh my god, like, yeah, oh my god, like, forgive my language, but Scrat fucks. Like, we officially have a confirmation that Scrat fucks. That Scrat legit had sex. That he took his acorn, he took his nuts, and he planted on the girl Scrat, which grew into a little sprout, which is Baby Scrat. Holy crap, that's a thing that legitimately happened. So it ain't just Manny that had sex. Scrat had sex as well. Who the fridge knew that we would live in a world where we have official confirmation that Scrat fucks? Oh boy, what other comments do we have here? From what I am reading and saw from the leaked clips, this seems rather good and cute as well. It certainly looks a lot better than the Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild. The fact that Disney is releasing this, though, just makes me feel sadder about them canceling Nimona, since that movie was nearing completion. Also, the fact that Scrat has a kid now just made me realize something horrifying. Scrat most likely did the dirty. Oh yes, Scrat did. Scrat, even though he's chasing the acorn, he certainly did use his nuts. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Yeah, and already I see in the chat while people are like freaking out. It's like, oh my god, AniMat's said the F word. Well, I mean, in this scenario, you kind of have to, because I mean, how else can you say Scrat fucks? Like, how else can you describe it? Like, Scrat got some booty, man. There's apparently things that happen in Dawn of the Dinosaurs that we did not know about. Let's see now. Wait, Scrat has a son now? Did Scrat go back to Scrat from Dawn of the Dinosaurs to tell how much he loves her again and ends up having a child in the process? For real though, while it is nice to see that this was the last project made by Blue Sky Studios before getting shut down, I'm still confused as ever. I don't know if Scrat is now back to its creator or not, but I hope I get some answers soon from either Disney or the original creator of Scrat. Yeah, you know what? Honestly, this whole scenario is pretty crazy, and like, honestly, I will consider it. Maybe I'll go and actually do, maybe some kind of editorial. Like, I'll try to contact people to see if this could actually be the case, but I don't know. Like, this is a very interesting subject. Like, that does raise the big question: who actually owns Scrat, and can Disney still use Scrat to this day? Like, imagine, like, would Disney be allowed to use Scrat for more content on Disney Plus? Would we actually see Scrat at the Disney parks? Who the fridge knows? But someone better get into the bottom of this. And if no one else, well then, maybe I'll do it. Let's see now. As a Scrat fan, this is so exciting. As you know, Scrat is my boy. I love him with all my heart, and all the stuff I wanted is coming true in this swan song, like Scrat having a son, a TV show, and a live action segment. This is literally a massive Scrat fan's dream. I love the second episode name though, lol. Hope you review it. Well, I don't know if I am going to review it. I may watch it and comment it on social media, but you know. Let's see. There is something weird going on with the Scrat copyright thing. I honestly think that there is a loophole that most likely they can't use Scrat in the feature films. Shorts might be the excuse to technically still use the squirrel. Buck Wild was originally meant to be a series, but most likely because Blue Sky was closing down, Disney made it a series into a film and thus had to give Ivy Scrat's film rights. I mean, maybe. I don't think this is a time where we should make any of those crazy suggestions or like crazy theories or stuff like that, but I don't know. We'll figure out eventually. Let's read one more comment before we go into the grand finale. Let's see now. I really love Scrat and Ice Age because of the gag that are nuts. Get it? My question is though, Scrat wasn't owned by Disney, so why is he in this? I feel like that Disney is hiding something from us. They would have to face a copyright law, but Disney has the best lawyers they got. And in this series, if Scrat is a dad, who is the mom? I bet it is Scrat from Ice Age, Dawn of the Dinosaurs. Oh yeah, like there is anyone else who could be the mother. I mean, if baby Scrat is the biological son of Scrat, I mean, like, who else would it be? I mean, it ain't freaking Ellie. Like, did you expect Ellie to be the mother? Did you expect those two to get busy? No, it's Scrat. It's none other than godforsaken Scrat. But yeah, honestly, like, in terms of the whole copyright scenario, I don't know what's going on. Honestly, that's a major part as to why I wanted to cover this in this episode. It's because of, like, the whole scenario has now become pretty confusing. Like, maybe we'll get some answers soon. Hopefully we'll get some answers soon, but who knows what's going on with all this. But the important thing is, well, we know that we're going to get some Scrat cartoons coming soon, and if you guys are excited for them, then keep in mind that it is going to be coming out on Disney Plus on April 13th. All right, folks, this is it. We have finally made it to the end. And now, we shall finally get into finale. And this grand finale, we are about to enter into some true chaos over here. Holy crap. Now, I know that there has been a lot of chaos, and even at the start, some very serious chaos that has been happening, especially with what's going on in Ukraine, and especially the attack on LGBTQ plus children and stuff like that. But this is a different kind of chaos. Like, this is the kind where, oh boy, like the kind that like has gotten the internet raging over this and really going crazy with the kind of ideas that they are suggesting. So with that said, let's go right into our grand finale, the final story in which we will talk about the Oscars. Yes, the Oscars are in trouble again. They did something stupid that pissed people off. Must be a day that ends with Y. Am I right, folks? But what is it that they did this time? What is it that they did now that really did got people a lot of angry? Not just audiences, but even filmmakers as well, that made them upset. Well, the big thing that they did is that they decided to go and change things up. Yeah, to change things up for the telecast of this year's Oscars, where they want to go and shorten the running time. And what they decided to do is that they want to take 8 different categories and they want to go and just cut them off the air. Now, maybe not necessarily fully cut them off the air. They did state that they will still present the acceptance speeches of those categories, but they're not going to present them as prominently as many of the other categories. And I do have the list here of the ones that they decided that they're going to go and cut off. And where was it? I know that it's not far off, but do they not have it here? Am I crazy? Oh, no. Okay. I just need to see a little bit more correctly, but it's right here. But apparently the 8 categories that the Oscars decided to not air is documentary short, film editing, makeup and hairstyling, original score, production design, animated short, live action short, and sound. In fact, we actually do have a full explanation, which is coming from the president of the Academy, David Rubin, which I'm going to read you here directly from my source on The Hollywood Reporter, in which he states to the Academy members, "Dear fellow Academy members, we're excited to present a 94th Oscars broadcast that both honors the year's achievements in motion pictures and provides boundless entertainment for our global audience of movie lovers. After carefully listening to feedback and suggestions from our film community, our network partners, and all those who love the Oscars, it was evident we needed to make some decisions about the broadcast that are in the best interest of the future of our show and our organization. When deciding how to produce the Oscars, we recognize it's a live event television show, and we must prioritize the television audience to increase viewer engagement and keep the show vital, kinetic, and relevant. This has been an important focus of discussion for quite some time. We do this while also remembering the importance of having our nominees relish a once-in-a-lifetime experience. In order to provide more time and opportunity for audiences, entertainment, and engagement through comedy, musical numbers, film clip packages, and movie tributes, a change in the show's production will take place. This year's show producers and Academy leadership will oversight with oversight of the Oscars have made the decision with endorsement from the officers and the award awards committee that every award category must be featured on the television broadcast, though 8 awards will initially be presented in the Dolby Theater in the hour before the live broadcast begins. They will not be presented in the pre-show nor on the red carpet, as some have speculated. Instead, the in-person ceremony at the Dolby Theater will begin 1 hour earlier to present 8 award categories before the live telecast starts. Those presentations will then be edited by our creative and production team and will be folded seamlessly into the live televised show. To be clear, all the nominees in all award categories will be identified on air, and all winners' acceptance speeches will be featured on the live broadcast. Every awarded filmmaker and artist in every category will still have the celebratory Oscar moment they deserve on the stage of the Dolby, facing an enwrapped audience. For the audience at home, the show's flow does not change, though it will become tighter and more electric with its new cadence, and the live broadcast should end, yes, with the Best Picture category at the 3-hour mark. Sorry, I don't know why that word was suddenly so hard to read. This year, those categories presented in the evening's first hour and seen later in the live broadcast are alphabetically documentary short subject, film editing, makeup and hairstyling, music, original score, production design, short film animated, short film live action, and sound. The categories to be presented live on this year's broadcasts are alphabetically actor in a leading role, actor in a supporting role, actress in a leading role, actress in a supporting role, animated feature film, best picture, cinematography, costume design, directing, documentary feature, international feature film, music, original song, visual effects, writing for adapted screenplay, and writing for original screenplay. We realize these kinds of changes can prompt concern about equity as we ask you to understand our goal has been find a balance in which nominees, winners, members, and viewing audiences all have a rewarding show experience. Moving forward, we will assess this change and will continue to look for additional ways to make our show more entertaining and more thrilling for all involved inside the Dolby Theater and watching from home. Every Academy branch and award category is indispensable to the success of a film and vital to this industry. Both our challenge and our goal is to create an exciting, streamlined Oscar show without sacrificing the long-held fundamentals of our organization. We appreciate your understanding and will be grateful for your unwavering support. Sincerely, David Rubin, Academy President. Well, I think it is safe to say that he did not get any form of unwavering support, or anyone at the Academy got that unwavering support for that kind of decision right there. Because as you can imagine, this is the kind of thing that got very significant backlash. Like, a lot of people were very much upset about this decision, especially when it comes to the specific categories that they have listed that they're just not going to air onto the Oscars, and instead just show a little bit of like the acceptance speech, and that's it. It's basically sacrificing the importance of some of the categories in favor of just having the show be having the show be at the 3 hour, be just 3 hours long, and that's it. And one thing I will say is that I could definitely pinpoint what the problem is. Like, as a content creator myself, I could see exactly what they're trying to do, and it is something that 100% it's gonna fail no matter what. It's the fact that the Oscars are making this decision because they want to do it for the views. Like, that's the big reason why they want to do it. It's because they just want to go and like try to find ways in order to optimize to gain viewership for the Oscars, because we all know how the ratings for the Oscars just like it has progressively been going down and down and down and down, and it feels like each rating has become worse than last year. Not to mention the fact that the show itself is becoming progressively worse and worse and worse, which detracts audiences from actually watching the Oscars in general, especially with what happened last year with that show. I mean, like, there have been a few good moments, but I think we can all agree that it had such a disastrous finale and such a disastrous memoriam section where it went way too fast. Like, the song that they play during the memoriam might as well be The Flight of the Bumblebee. But right now, what we are seeing here, and also I just want to add that this is technically not the first time that we've seen the Oscars try to do this. And of course, like before, they have received so much backlash that it's pretty much going to be inevitable that they will backtrack from this, and like they will treat all the nominees equally. And what we have seen here in this case, with what they are doing so far with this decision, the fact that they're desperately trying to get views, I can guarantee you it's not going to work. This is a scenario where it's just going to go and make things so much worse for the Oscars. In fact, they're probably going to lose viewership because of this, because of the fact that they're pretty much picking favoritism and like cherry picking which ones that they don't really care to or like really bother to show on the broadcast, and treat it equally as they would to something like best picture or best actor or best director or anything like that. They just want to go and focus on like the stuff that viewers seem to care most about. And also on top of that, I will say some of the choices, I gotta say, it's very much questionable. Like a lot of them really don't make sense. Like, okay, you know, if they would do this kind of thing, I'm not surprised that they would go and cut off any of the shorts, like for documentary, for live action, and for animation. Like, yeah, that, I get like that would be the first to go. But then there are some that just doesn't make sense. Like original score. Like, why would you want to cut out original score? That seems to be one that a lot of people seem to very much care about, especially when like a lot of big names would win that award, like Danny Elfman or John Williams or Hans Zimmer or those guys. Like, you know, it's fun to see those people win. And especially when they would go and present them, like often we would have a taste of that score. That's often fun. And then there are some that are very integral to the filmmaking process, such as film editing. Why the fridge do you want to cut out film editing? Isn't that one of the most important aspects of making a movie in general? You would not have a movie if you don't have film editing. And on top of that, something like production design, like that's also another one that I feel like is very much important. Like that's another case where you would have nothing if you don't have production design, or at least have an idea of what you're doing if you don't if you don't have production design. It's just, this doesn't, like, there's a lot of these choices where like it doesn't make sense to me. Why would you cut off those ones specifically? I don't know. And not to mention, of course, the fact that it feels extremely disrespectful to those filmmakers in particular, to those people working in the industry, in makeup and hairstyling, in score, in those, in all those shorts, in sound design, in film editing also. It's very much disrespectful, where the Academy is pretty much saying you don't matter as much as the actors or the directors or the costume designers or any of those people. Like, that is a true insult right there, where again it really feels like the Oscars is just picking, it's just playing favoritism. And that's where we are seeing the backlash. It really is the fight for those for those filmmakers and for those people who are working in the film industry, that they feel like they're being underrepresented, or like they're being they're being undervalued by the Academy. And honestly, like all this, it just doesn't work. And especially right now, I'm just going to say this, that like, yeah, this decision alone, like, is really not helping the scenario. But already we are seeing things that it's just getting progressively worse and worse for the Oscars. Not to mention the fact, like, we are already seeing people being critical about the Oscars, and I mean like prominent people. Like, we've seen the comments from like Kevin Smith or Seth Rogen, for example, where they would talk about the fact that like people just don't really care about award shows anymore, or that people are just upset that the Academy is just shafting Spider-Man No Way Home, despite the fact that it is the highest grossing movie in recent years, or the highest grossing movie since Avengers Endgame. And then there is also the factor, like, if there is one thing that is already like being foreseen as a complete disaster, is the hashtag Oscars fan favorites. Like, in case you guys don't know, the Academy decided, like, in order to spice things up for the viewership of the Oscars telecast, they want to do this thing called Oscars fan favorites, where on Twitter, people can go and participate to go and tweet out what's their favorite movie, who's their favorite actor, who's their favorite director, so that they can get like a special recognition at the Academy Awards. Now, this was obviously something made in response of Spider-Man not being really recognized that much at this year's Oscars, other than Best Visual Effects. But so far, the results, yeah, it's not what you expect, and it already shows that this whole fan favorite idea was a flat-out mistake. Because who's winning favorite movie so far? Not Spider-Man, but Sony's Cinderella. Okay, well, maybe Tom Holland or Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire is probably gonna get Best Actor. Nope, it's Johnny Depp. You guys didn't know that he was in a movie this year? Well, neither did most of the people who went and vote for him. Well, what about Best Director? That's probably the best opportunity for either Lin-Manuel Miranda or for Denis Villeneuve to finally get some recognition for their directorial work, right? Nope, that's actually Zack Snyder, because of course the Snyderverse fanboys would want to go and abuse the system. So yeah, already this Oscars fan favorite thing has already foreseen the disaster that is going to happen at this year's Oscars. And I think it's at the point where it's a scenario where they can't really repair things. Even if they try to go and add hosts such as Regina Hall, Amy Schumer, and Wanda Sykes and stuff like that, I don't think there's really much that they can do in order to salvage the disaster that will inevitably happen at this year's Oscars. I mean, technically, I will admit, I'm still gonna watch it. I want to see how disastrous this thing is going to be. But with this scenario, it really does feel like what the Oscars is doing is just trying to put out the fire with gasoline. Like, it's a case where it's only going to make things so much worse. And whatever they try to do, because of the motive of trying to gain viewership, like the fact that they want to get those people who aren't even interested in the Oscars in the first place to go and watch it, it's just not going to work. And also, one thing that I will say that the ratings are already doomed is the fact that most people already, as I'm recording right now, they have already decided if they're going to watch the Oscars or not. And I want to go and ask, like, I'm going to ask the chat wall right now. Have any of you already decided if you're going to watch this year's Oscars or not? Like, be honest. You could say yes, you could say no, you could say you're not sure yet, but I want to see in the chat wall, have you guys decided if you're going to watch the Oscars? Let me know. Let's see. Okay, I see one person said yes. Let's see here. Any more answers? Nope. Maybe. Okay, so maybe we got a few undecided. A few says yes, but so far I see, okay, admittedly, it is a little bit of a mix. We got some people who says yes. We got some people who says no. We got one person who says, I'm just going to watch the animation category and that's it. Yep. And I like that pretty much proves my point that we already have people who have already decided if they are going to watch the Oscars or not. There are very few things that that the Oscars can do that can make you change your mind in order to go and actually watch the Oscars telecast. So that's already a big mistake in the Academy's part to try to force the idea that, oh, maybe there is a chance that we could change people's minds in watching the Oscars. No, you don't really have that much of an idea. Like, the only way that I can imagine that how you can make people watch the Oscars is if you would put in like Super Bowl like commercials, that you would put in trailers of highly anticipated movies. Like, imagine if you would go and advertise that the Oscars is going to be the place where we will see the first ever look and the first ever trailers of stuff like Jurassic World Dominion, of Minions Rise of Gru, or the Super Mario movie, or Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse and stuff like that, then maybe you'll actually get some people to go and watch that. But at this point right here, no. Especially if you're just going to go and do it for the views, if you're just going to try to go and prioritize trying to have this be at 3 hours and that's it, it's not gonna work. And I think inevitably pretty soon the Oscars is gonna go and backtrack on this idea, especially with the very significant amount of backlash that they have gotten, because honestly, this is not a case where they could just keep it as is and expect people to be fine with it. No, there's already huge backlash against this, and it's only going to be a matter of time that the Academy will announce that they're just going to backtrack on that idea. All right, so with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you guys, what is your take on the Oscars controversy of the fact that they're not telecasting these 8 categories? Are you guys on the Oscars and you think it's a good idea for the show? Are you guys completely against it? Let me know what you all think. All right. All right, here we go. Here's a soliloquy. Well, it was nice not knowing you, Oscars and Emmys. You tried, or mostly failed, to keep in time with the evolution of media and civilization. But even with the advent of internet and social media, your credibility and popularity have but plummeted for the past 2 decades. Even less known movie festivals like Caesars, Mostra, and Sundance have the decency of keeping the categories that you shunned this year. So long, Hollywood farce. Oh, dang. All right, let's see. This is going to be a disaster again, like those previous years, including last year, right? So why am I not surprised? Cutting out the important ones, such as music scores and film editing, is an absolute insult to people who worked hard in getting different categories, and I would not be surprised that this year's Oscars are going to be at an all-time low. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to go watch the premiere of Batman in IMAX tonight, which is 10 minutes from here. Oh, dang. Have fun with that, dude. Oh my God, that is true. Batman is actually coming soon. I honestly, I need to go and get my ticket. I'm actually really excited for that. Let's see. I honestly feel upset with this decision. This just feels disrespectful to the people who would work on these projects. However, this is honestly making me excited for the Oscar ceremony, not because of the show itself, but I want to see how much of a disaster it could possibly be. Yep. Same here, dude. Oh my God. I want to see the disaster, the whole calamity of the whole situation. Oh, isn't it gonna be fun now, isn't it? Let's see. In all honesty, I have lost a lot of my cares for the Oscars in the past few years because of their stupid decisions. Also, it is Armin being snubbed again because the animated short category is being taken out. Is Armin being snubbed again because it's taken out? Well, I guess technically yes. I wonder if any if anyone at this rate would take the Razzies or the Kids' Choice Awards more seriously than the Oscars. The only redeemer for me at this moment is Best Original Song is still being shown, and I still hope for Lin-Manuel Miranda to win so that he could get his EGOT. All right, so I think I'll read one more comment before we go. I'm not against it, I'm just disappointed in it. But I'm still watching it just for the films alone. Look, I'm a movie guy. I care far more for the filmmakers and their movies. Cutting out the original score category is a massive insult to Latinx everywhere. Hopefully they will change their minds again, but I doubt it. All right. So, with all that said, I think that should do it for this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Well, it definitely has been a crazy ride. I will admit that I was a bit shaky at first, maybe not necessarily my best presentation. Should have been a little bit more prepared with what's going on. I do apologize for that. But hey, at least we did make it to the end, and at least we did have fun. Am I right, folks? So, with all that said and done, I would like to say thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. And tune in next week for more fun episodes of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. So, with all that said, see you later, dudes!